Jeshtha Care. Let me give a brief let me give a brief background about Jeshtha Care and today's session, and then I should hand it over to our today's guest. So, Jeshtha Care is Mumbai's first home healthcare service led by a specialist geriatrician. We cater exclusively towards the mental health, not only mental health care, but overall healthcare needs of the senior citizens, aim to provide them with the best quality care in the comfort of their own home. Some of our services include home doctor visits, nursing care by certified nurses, trained attendants to assist the elders in their daily activities, home physiotherapy sessions by our team of expert physiotherapists, geriatric assessment and counseling by our experienced psychologists, nutrition advice by our dietitian, sale and renting of the medical equipments like hospital beds, oxygen concentrators, etc., and lab tests in the convenience of your own home. All of this is under one roof and under the supervision of our senior and experienced doctors. So, also let me explain you a bit topic. This session is houseproof for so basically is houseproofing and why this session. So houseproofing is as we do it for our baby proofing of the house to remove all the dangerous things from our house to danger the baby. Similarly, for elderly, we need to take care of the certain parts of the house which can prevent major accidents or which are preventable basically to make our homes safe and elderly friendly. Um, Today's guest, Mrs. Neha Patil, is going to talk about how we can do our houses safe and very convenient and comfortable to use for elderly. Neha is a senior architect as a creative design studio. She's architect by profession, of course, and she has more than 10 years of experience. Apart from having her architectural practice, she has also been a teacher in the graduation and post-graduation institutes such as Rachna Sansad, Raheja College of Architecture, and Bharati Vidyapit. She's also a certified yoga trainer. So overall health perspective is also very important from her point of view. And she will be guiding us today that how we can make our homes a really safe place for elderly to stay in. Neha, you can take over now. You're on mute yet.
I thank you, Mridula, for a one very nice what do you call explanation or probably introduction.
Yeah.
So basically, I am an interior architect by profession. Been doing this since past 10 years, and now I have started a small studio where we do homes and residential, commercial, everything under one roof. What we are giving in interior as well as architecture. That's about me. And now I think I'll just start with my presentation, if that is okay, Mridula.
Yes, Neha, please go
All
ahead.
right, I'll just share this. Mridula, can you allow me to share the screen, please?
Yes. Mm,
Yeah,
1 minute, huh?
I've got it.
You got it?
Yeah. So basically, what we are talking about is house proofing for elderly. Uh, if we see, like, this is what Mridula has already told you about my introduction, so I won't go through that right now. So when I was working with Kamal Malik Architects, he is one of the most recognized architects in India. I have worked on many different projects, different types of projects like hospitality, hotels, plus healthcare centers as well as your hospitals. So I have worked on a Vedanta hospital in Raipur. Currently, I am again like going back to where we discuss about how and like how the factors change your living area where you stay to make it more comfortable. So we just consider first start looking at the aspects what elderly people actually are facing with current COVID, as well as the entire profile is such that we have to take care of many factors and aspects when we are designing, even for a child or for a senior citizen. So the whole thing about 60s being you being a new kid, it's I think coming back to the same, like where we have the factors such as we have to consider when we are talking about elderly people. We have to consider their convenience, comfort, safety. They have completely like a different set of issues which we need to address when we are discussing design when it's related to the elderly group. With aging, our eyesight, our hearing, our sense of touch, agility lessens. So, what can be done in that front? I'll first just go through what all things we need to consider in the design factor. Third point will be like entertainment. Everyone requires entertainment, some recreation area. Medical facilities are a must. Then reading halls, yoga centers, because this age group people tend to more go towards the spiritual side or something which is like yoga, which is calming them down. So we are considering all those factors here when we'll discuss our the entire outlook of what our session is about. So if the senior citizen group decides to imagine if a couple wants to stay in a vacation home. So we are talking architecturally as well as urban planning is also considered in this entire situation, where you require mobile healthcare, ambulances, doctors on call, provisions for meals, because at times they find it difficult to cook, and all those factors need to be assimilated when we are designing something for them architecturally or in decoration or in design internally as well. So the next thing what we for the in these factors we have to consider a location, that even if they are planning to have a vacation home, they wish to settle out in some area which is a two-tier city, and they want to have a sedimentary slow life. But in that consideration also, if you're buying a house, it should be it should be in like close proximity of all the facilities what we spoke earlier. So what are the basic requirements if we are building a house in that condition? Is basically a good, it should be a good, preferably a ground floor plan. Two storage structures preferably we avoid, because at the end of the day they have, your knees are hurting, you don't want to climb and clean, and so the house should be having something like a ground floor plan, a single ground floor structure with a ramp is basically a slope where we can take wheelchairs up and down, and then it is easier than climbing down the steps or stairs. Wheelchair access with we take care of when we talk about having a ramp in the vicinity of the house. Then the house needs to be well ventilated. There in the surrounding location, you also need to have recreational areas where they can have some activity which will help them in day-to-day life. Okay, so the staff which is required for all this, we have to take them as well into consideration. Like there needs to be a medical as administrator, then there needs to be attenders who can give care to above 60 suffering from any diseases, or if they are not suffering from anything, but the nursing staff should be available, because the age is such that you don't know what you will require tomorrow. So the list of people that should be around is basically your maids, housekeeping staff, medical officers, like geriatric care, what Jeshta Clinic is doing right now. That is that those all things are required, as well as social workers and doctor on call in case of any emergencies. So this is the working staff which needs to be in close proximity of the house or of the apartment, or in under under any circumstances you need these people to be there in close proximity. All right. So what we go next is to medical facilities that need to be there in the house as well as in the local area. Should all these things should be available. So here I am mentioning one important aspect where we are talking about a sterile room. In today's day and time, sterile room has also become a very big of very big importance with considering the COVID situation. So what are basically sterile rooms? Sterile rooms are basically where we can store our medicines and everything separately. There are many things like because we stay in a joint family, or if they're staying with their kids or anything, there should be two refrigerators which one can segregate, which is only for their medicines and other storing purpose, which are needed for their day-to-day life. Probably in current situation we also need to make provisions for oxygen cylinders, the apparatus which is required for them. Then we talk about ICU facilities now. In Because COVID has taught us so much that we have actually started doing ICU units or probably ICU care in your own house, where you can completely turn that entire room if there is a need of ICU center, and if there is no availability, then what can be done in that situation. So there we consider ICU facilities. We do the entire setup of the hospital in your safety of your home, so you don't have to step out or stay in a hospital alone. All right. Then next is what we talk about is recreational facilities, such as entertainment usually takes the mind off from your daily routine or the mundane life. Here they considering senior citizens, here they don't have work, or probably they even have work. Their mind shouldn't remain idle in such situation. They have to live a happy and lively life. So in that consideration, you require some kind of entertainment which will eventually keep them away from depressing things or depressing situations around. So, for example, we can add like reading areas, TVs, audio video players, and newspapers. All this will give them an insight about the rest of the world, as well as it will be done in the safety of their home. One sec. Sorry, I have to stop in between. Yeah. So these facilities also need to be considered when we are talking about them staying away from or probably staying in a vacation home or something. Then we come to how do we implement these things in our design. What are the things we need to avoid? What are the things we really need to take care of? Like first thing what comes up is exteriors such as doorways, pathways should be of anti-skid tiling material or any anti-skid material, so that it can avoid unnecessary accidents, which can be minimized with the help of anti-skid flooring. Then minimal steps are required when you're even building a vacation home for this age group, so that there's a,
I'm sorry, everyone. I think her network has just played bad. We'll wait for a couple of minutes for her to join. Ah, there she is. You just wait for a couple of minutes. I'll get an update from her. Everybody, thank you for your patience. Just a minute.
Guys, sorry for the inconvenience, but suddenly my laptop is starting to act up. So we were on how our exterior should be when we are designing something like a vacation home. So I was talking about the point where we need to have minimal sorry minimal steps so that they avoid tripping over or falling because of the overhang of the steps. Then good lighting should be installed in such situations because light plays a very important role in our day-to-day life as well. So it should be a well lit, well ventilated house. So, considering we have hearing issues when we start aging, we tend to our ears start getting impaired. So, in that situation, what do we do? And if a person is already having hearing loss, then how do we make sure that he responds to the sounds of bells, telephones when it's ringing? So, what we do when we say this is basically we have certain phones which ring bell at a lower frequency, and they are consistent and for a longer time, so that they can at least understand that the bells are ringing or the telephone is ringing. So that is how we tackle the issue where the doorbells, when we consider a doorbell which runs long and has a low pitch, which actually doesn't startle them as well in such situation. Then common area furniture. If we talk about a living room, or when we are considering a stay, if these people are staying with a family, then the common area furniture should be of standard height. When I say standard height, it should be comfortable for all. Secondly, we avoid on the floor furniture because, as we know, getting up and getting sitting on a low tables or a low divan becomes difficult at this age. So we have to consider that as well. Ki what kind of seating arrangement should we opt for? Then we go to mobility access. That will be basically when we are in a home, we require for them. They just require grab bars. Grab bars are basically bars where they can lean against, they can catch hold of while walking, or it should be there on the walls to the which leads to the entryways in the bathrooms. To avoid in that whole situation, we also consider having bed rails, so that they can get up with the help of the bed rail. So when doors we talk about in the same situation, we have to consider what size of doors also we will opt, because they if the person is on a wheelchair for few days also, or any if they're in wheelchair, if the entire thing is wheelchair access itself, then we have to consider what kind of doors we'll take in, what kind of clear openings it will require. We have to have some certain dimensions when we talk about a wheelchair. So even if they are not on the wheelchair, we will still consider the same clear openings, because they probably have crutches or support, or a walking stand or anything. For that also, we have to have clear door openings when we consider this in our day-to-day activities, or even in our current homes. Extra lighting to visual clues. When I talk about extra lighting, is basically we recently the technology has developed so much that we have this motion sensor lights which can be installed like underneath the bed. What we do usually is we put a censored light So if they wish to get up in the middle of the night to visit, to pay a visit to the bathroom, then the light turns on as immediately as soon as they get up, their feet are on the ground. So that is, and visual clues, when we talk about having glow in the dark signs, which can guide them along the path. So that curtails our situation where there is a to avoid the mishaps at night time. Then motion sensors, as I said, need to be installed. That also is clearly at a, what you call, at a personal level choice what we give. but but those will help them eventually when there is, considering we are all going to age someday or the other, we can have those lights underneath all the beds. I think everyone every day requires, if they have to visit the washroom at middle of the night, having something like a motion sensor light where you don't have to switch on and disturb the other person sleeping in the room, that becomes very essential. Then we come to how the door should be. So consider, I am 60 right now. I have crutches in my hand, and then to open the door, it becomes difficult to push the door with something in your hand and to keep it open. So in that situation, how can we avoid or mitigate this entire situation is by having sliding doors. Then magnetic latches, recently we have these magnetic latches everywhere, so we need to avoid those as well, because those magnetic latches at times turn the door back, or even door closers for that matter, because door closers are basically, you have to push that door and then enter, and then again the door starts coming back on you. So to avoid that, we decide upon the weight of the door. Then even sliding doors in that situation can cause this, but then even sliding doors can be converted to motion sensor doors, which we usually see in malls and all. That also can be installed in their room, where they want to enter, then the door opens up. Then laundry, if they are staying alone in this situation, then the laundry, the drying and all this, if there's no help around, then how do we plan a area where they'll dry their clothes, or have a washing machine? Then we need to have a clear de- uh, uh, denoted place where you can have like particular sector where your laundry, everything will be done under one side, one corner of the room. And storing also becomes easier for them when we consider this. Secondly, now if you ask me what would be the approach when you are saying all this, what is the best way to do it and how do we do it? Then there, if you guys have heard about minimalism is basically where you have what only those things what you require, no unnecessary clutter. Like anything extra in the house is not required, then that is what is basically minimalism, to keep it simple and straight. So the furniture, then generous distance must be maintained. If you consider staying in a living room, like you are in a living room, if it is very cramped or something, then the circulation becomes a task for them also to move around. And when we talk about if a person is accessing the room on a wheelchair, then for his moment, we need to have clear spaces between the furniture as well. So those are the factors when we consider interior part of the house. Then, as I said, unnecessary clutter should be avoided, because if you don't need, you don't have to have it in your house. That way, it's very simple. Like no decorative rugs. As we all know, we tend to also trip over, or if we try to walk looking in the sky at times, and if we are doing the same and tripping over, we should have a family if they're staying alone or they are not, if they're staying with the family, how the living room arrangement should be, considering that basic and core of design and change the entire look and feel of the house. We can do small arrangements like shifting the sofa to one side, having less clutter in the house, so that you avoid bumping into any furniture. Offer clean, clutter-free layout that ensures comfortable use. If you see the reference pictures, I have shown like this only have few extra things in the house where you don't, sorry. where you don't have to move around too much, and you require that circulation space. So circulation in the living room becomes a high point here. Then we opt for small pieces of furniture like low ottoman, which you like. If you have a low ottoman, if you see the picture, the second picture on the slide, it shows two ottoman. And how ottoman helps is basically you want to sit on the sofa, and then you want to relax, you want to put your feet up. So this loose furniture to items help them put their feet up, and then they can relax in the same. L-shaped sofas are preferred with these situations where one can lie down and the other can just, so one person can put their feet up on the ledge of the sofa, the L part of the sofa, and then they can also use the poofs for such a requirement. Then we are coming to the kitchen part. Now kitchen becomes like, sorry, sorry, should I continue?
Yes, Neha, you can go on.
So kitchens become a very important factor again, because that is, even if they wish to cook, even if they don't wish to cook, then how should be the kitchen, and what is basically a kitchen working triangle. Kitchen working triangle is basically, there is a sink, there is a gas stove, and there is a refrigerator. All these three consist and make a working triangle for the kitchen. Now, why am I saying this is important? Because see, if you remove something from the fridge and you have to wash it, you need some space after the fridge to keep the stuff that you have got out of the refrigerator, and then you take it to the sink. For example, if we are taking vegetables from out from the fridge, then we need to wash it. So this working triangle is a must in all the kitchens. Smaller kitchens if you can opt for, because at the end of the day, as I said, circulation becomes very important, and to reduce that entire walking circulation. So working triangle is one big thing which we need to consider, and how it should be. Second, we come to lots of counter space. They would prefer to have easy clutter free countertops. Then in that case, what we do is, lot of storage for their needs should be easily accessible. The storage should be anyhow, should be easily accessible. So what we do in that case, we set up open shelves above the counter, and that open shelving helps them to see, like, it's there in front of you. You don't have to like open three cupboards and search for something. So that is where open shelving works the best in these situation. Then in kitchen, what we do is, being at that age, you don't want to take something heavy out from the above cabinet. So what we do is we use base cabinet as much as possible, and use hydraulic drawers and hydraulic channels, where the drawers, with one push it can come out. You don't have to struggle with the drawers to come out, and then again you have to uh, close the drawer. So when you, and in this also, when you're opening these drawers or you wish to make it more efficient, then we add sensors to kitchen as well. Recessed light, when we talk about, is basically the light under the above open shelves or cabinet which are there. We can install this anytime. This can be done at a very minimal cost as such also, but then you get light underneath the counter, and you can work efficiently in a kitchen with these all things if we consider. Next, we go to the bedroom. Now when we talk about the bedrooms, imagine, most of the people in that age group have this knee problem. They cannot get up from a low bed, they cannot they need help to get out of the bed. To avoid this, what we do is basically we change the bed height from standard to a bit higher, so that when it is comfortable for them to get up. So in that situation, if we say ki we are giving a low sofa, would it be suitable for a low bed? It wouldn't be suitable for them to use it every day. So what here the pictures are suggesting is basically a high bed with a thicker mattress, so that, and even in that case, mattress shouldn't be too soft, because getting up again from a softer mattress becomes difficult. So so the whole gist of the thing is, try and have higher beds than this normal standard size. And how do we add to it? We can have a thick mattress coming in for the same. We usually give headboards, uh, which are cushioned and with soft cushioning is there, so that they can lean against it and sit. So if you see, there are in these reference pictures, there are two types of backrest. There's a cushioning backrest. There are cushions on the bed. These work well when you're sitting, when you wish to sit in the room and you want to relax. These are the small factors which we are while even thinking about just sitting in the room or sitting on the bed. The height of the bed, as I said, should be such that their feet can touch the ground once they are up. It shouldn't be hanging, or it shouldn't be too low or too high. Then in the bedroom, as I said, we can offer motion sensor lights. So if you see the reference image, that is how the light looks like, and that comes on as soon as your feet hit the floor. Additional bedside lamps and special care in the dark corners. Now what do we do if my bed, if my toilet is in a corner where that corner probably might just be the darkest corner of the room then what do we do in such cases? Then we have glow in the dark signage. You won't see them in daylight, but once it basically illuminates at night, so it gives them a proper guide to where the door is, because we installed those lights on the door. Okay, so corners should be well lit and probably should have motion sensor lights that help them without having to search for the switch. That works the best. Then bathroom now is like a very critical area in this situation, because if the bathroom is not safe, there are most of the accidents, or people tend to fall down in the bathroom because they have not used the right kind of flooring. And how do we do that? What do we mean by the right kind of flooring or grab bars? Considering we are talking about this age group, then we need some grab bars in the toilet as well to get up from the toilet seat. So those basically add on to the feature where we consider them. So we have to think of how to install this grab bars. There are multiple types of grab bars which are there. There are foldable ones when it is not required. When you want it, you can open it and use those. Toilet seat. Now when we talked about the bedroom aspect, we spoke that the bed should be higher. Similar is the case when we talk about having a toilet seat higher. The normal height what we take our sit on the toilet seat is basically 1 feet 6 inches. So in this case we opt for around 1 feet 8 inches, so we give them that much more comfort, so that they don't feel like they are sitting down, and getting up will be another issue for them. So that is how we try to inculcate the design, in that if they have their own room and their own bathroom, then we certainly prefer having the toilet seat higher than the standard size. Secondly, what we do is we avoid bathtubs under any circumstances. Bathtub shouldn't be given in a room, in a bathroom where the elderly has to take shower. Those bathrooms should have shower areas which will be denoted with lighting, as well as it will have grab bars. But everyone knows bathtub, when you are getting out of a bathtub, imagine if we are 60, getting out of the bathtub will be like a completely different ball game. So avoiding those is a high point here, so that we can maintain certain we can avoid such situation like falling down, tripping over, and everything. So grab bar should be provided. Your bathroom should cause less of clutter. It should be open so that you can access the bathroom with a wheelchair as well, or with the crutches. Then in the shower area, as I said, what we talk about in shower area is basically having anti-skid flooring. Then you really need, if you some people prefer to sit and take bath, then in that situation what can be done? So we simply add a bench, or a foldable bench, or a permanent bench in the shower area, so that they can sit and take a bath. They don't have to keep on standing and take a bath. Because as we said, soaps and wet floors become like a dangerous combination. So in this case, if they're sitting and taking a shower, we think about the safety factor, and then that is what will work for them, instead of bathtubs and not having any grab bars or support. So we should always offer grab bars grab bars have multiple utility factors. Like grab bars can be used as towel rods as well, but just don't do the do the opposite. Don't use a towel rack to as a grab bar, because grab bars are made of different stature, different kind of material, which can pull off a weight of at least 120 kgs if someone puts pressure on it. It's not the same with the towel rods. So basically then we go ahead to what should be how should be how should be your bathroom in the first place. The bathrooms, so when you talk about how we should operate, so it shouldn't be too complicated for them to operate it every day. Like there are multiple things in the market where you have this jacuzzi bath, or you have this hot jets and everything. All those also need to be considered. And when we are considering this factor, then we should certainly think of it should be as easy for them to understand and operate it daily. Then we in the bathroom, obviously we require hot water. So in that consideration, how should we, if they have, let's just take an example. The person has probably a problem where he suffers from memory loss, a short term memory loss. And in that situation, if the water heater is on and it stays on, then how to mitigate this issue where it can cause fire or a electrical hazard or anything. Then what we do is the water heating systems also, when we are talking about, we go for something which is with internal cutoff, so that even if a person forgets to turn it off, we try and the basically the machine itself will stop on its own after a certain period, which will avoid the unnecessary problems which will happen post if the person doesn't remember to shut it off. So that's why having water heaters with internal cutoff become a must have. Then, as I spoke about tiling, it should be anti-skid. Here I have shown in the picture I have shown what is pebble tile look like. So won't it be easier if it has a rough texture in the bathroom, so that it helps? Think of it having a marble flooring in the bathroom. We all know marble flooring are very slippery. They have too much glare as well. Then how do we avoid? Or else we have to think about how can the marble also be used. If people actually wish to use marble in the bathrooms and redo their bathroom, then we scrape off the marble top, we make it more with ridges. You can do that to marble as well. And to any other material where you want it to be. If it is a stone, then you can cut the stone into ridges and then you can install it. Pebble tile works the best. Pebble tiles are readily available in the market nowadays. Then we come to the point where if we are not in the position to redo the entire bathroom, then what do we do in such situation? So in that case, we have something called as rubber mat or perforated mats, which can be laid over the your current tile. So that also, these options are also where you don't want to do the entire change of not having the tile, and then you don't want to spend that much. All those factors count up, and then what can be done in that situation is where we suggest clients with perforated anti-skid rubber mats. You just have to place them, or even wooden mats. You just have to place them on top of your existing flooring. You don't have to redo your entire bathroom in that situation. Then we come to, okay, now if I'll just ask you guys, if there was anything that you want to ask me regarding this part. This was for basically the the people staying with the family or without the family or staying separate. These are the factors which we think and we decide, and then we work on it to see how much is achievable and how much is not. Every problem has a solution, as we say. If you don't wish to go in for a full-fledged makeover, how do we do that? So if you guys have any questions, you can right now throw at me for the above presentation. Then I'll start with a specialized category which of diseases which people tend to suffer at this age. So anyone has any query or anything?
What about the safety measures? I mean, anything that we can install for the safety of the person living at home, say alone. Something that some safety measures that we can install, like an alarm or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else that can be done. Or they need
So
an SOS help. Say they need to call. I mean, they're not able to find their phones and they need to somehow get an SOS help. So, how can that be done?
So in that situation, what we do is, if they need SOS services, then we, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, that we go ahead and give motion sensors, because, and then there are like, we can install a CCTV installation can be done in that situation, because those, if they are staying alone and if their kids are away, so that CCTV can be of a lot of help in that situation, because they will be there 24/7. They will be monitoring it even if they are not staying together. So that is how we try and get the technology in such situation. Then there are things like, there are electrical panels which have a direct line numbers, where if they need help they can just press that button. And those all those automated systems are can be done in any of the houses, because we have that kind of a leverage when we using automation recently. Earlier there was no automation, so it was very difficult in that situation. But now we have surveillance cameras, we have like automated systems, where we can understand what can be done at that situation. Like, even if they're staying alone and there's a theft or something, if someone is trying to enter the house or break in the house, there are things like, it directly sends a message to the police or to the hospital, to all the possible factors which are like facilities which will be required in that case. Anything more? I hope I have given you the answer what you were looking for.
Yes, thank you.
So next, I am going up to people living with dementia and Alzheimer's. Now, these two things have become so common recently because of the stressed life what we have, and because of the like, it's basically because with age we really don't know what will happen to us tomorrow. So considering dementia and Alzheimer's, as we all know, people suffering from dementia have several issues, like sundowning is there. They tend to forget. They don't understand where they started. If they are where they started, they can lose their way. In such situation, how do you try and help them? So here, the main rule when we talk about Alzheimer's and dementia, what we in design is basically no white on white, because for them, even the eyesight becomes a problem for people suffering from dementia. They tend to see everything on the same line. So if your floor is ending at certain point and your wall is starting, then we need to have a different a divider in between, or the your dado should be such that it can be they can differentiate between the depths, because depth becomes an issue with your eyesight. And how to avoid that situation is by giving contrast in colors, contrast in organizing things, and color blocks should be used. Block colors, when I say block colors, the colors should be pretty bright. They should be easily, usually we go for reds, greens, whichever color is bright and can be seen from far is what we opt for people suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's. Then how do you organize their entire setup? So if it is open shelving, we do labeling over it. We do things like literal uh, complete organization of their pantry as well as their kitchen and their bedrooms. We make sure that we have clear signages in that situation, or signages or probably labels. If you're in the kitchen with the if the patient is suffering from dementia and he doesn't know where to look for what, then when I as I mentioned in the kitchen part, we opt for open shelving. Why do we do that is another factor which we consider for dementia as well, is because open shelf, if we have open shelf, it's right there in front of you with labels. So that helps them to not to search for a thing. Instead, they can just grab it easily. Then we come to the functional and lighting. Always opt for good lumens when we are talking about lighting for dementia and Alzheimer people. So there, what happens is basically if it is brightly lit, it helps them, because as we talk about things where if there is a dark corner and they need to find something, then it becomes difficult for them to even by the evening to find that thing. So what do? We use bright colors so that the area is highlighted. And like if they have so let's consider they are talking they need to take out medicines, and the medicine shelf is white on white and the cupboard is also white. In that situation they won't ever be able to even differentiate between the floor and the cupboard and the wall. So how do we do that? We do a different color flooring, we do a different color cupboards. And in that situation, even if the cupboard is supposed to be used, then the cupboard needs to be highlighted with labels as in what is there in that cupboard, because this they can read. It's not like if they're searching for something, they'll read the label, which will help them eventually to come to find what they're looking for. Then busy pattern, when we talk about busy patterns are busy patterns basically are in furniture. If we are going for a sofa, let's maintain a single shade of sofa, which is again we use bright colors in that. But then if we tend to go for a hexagonal pattern or any geometric pattern in that in the sofa covering, then they again lose the sense of 3D in that. Pattern create confusion because for them the 3D becomes too overwhelming. Even the pattern becomes 3D, so they don't understand how much depth is there, or how much what height it is. So in that situation, what we suggest the clients is they should always opt for clean, clear colors. They should not have unnecessary patterns, at least for their room. If we are considering no curtains with too much detail or flowery pattern or geometric patterns. That's how we start mitigating and implementing even the furnishing factor in this. Rugs, again, as I said, rugs create another issue. If there is a rug and if a person is on a wheelchair, in that situation the rug, that wheelchair can get stuck in the rugs. So we avoid having rugs in the house with them as well. So then we come to the point where what is sundowning. So frankly speaking, I am not a medico, but then in that consideration I know how my field works for that particular this. How do I help them when they are suffering from something like sundowning causes? So what do? We, as I said, the floors shouldn't be shiny. The shine gives them a glare, and then again they tend to lose the track of whether it is. They think that it might just be slippery, and they try and take caution that way. So when doing a floor in this situation, when with people from dementia, what we do? We pull reflective glare on the floors. So again, we use mat in that situation, it won't puff the excess glare. Even at night situation, if it is a matte flooring, it won't reflect the light from the ceiling as well on the floor. That helps them in like having it becomes a very big asset when we talk about them tripping over anything. Then most importantly, again I'll go back to the lighting issue in this. Because of sundowning, they have problem with even assimilating whether it's a day or whether it's a night. So in that situation, what do? For those people, night, they need to be we need to help them in with extra care. And how do we do that? In that situation, we try and tend to give as much as light possible by in the evening times. And even during night times, as I said, motion sensor light works the best in that situation. There shouldn't be any confusion created with the light. If you see, so let's talk about the factor where two lights are converging. They tend to create a shadow in between. So how do so that also can be difficult for them to understand. The shadow parts also create a confusion and they can trip over anything. So for that reason, we have to have a well lit home. Well lit home in the sense, we need to have all the two lights shouldn't create a shadow. Like if you see, if we are at a stadium, if you see the player on ground, because there are lights from four sides, that also creates a problem where you get a shadow of four in four dimensions. So how do we avoid that? The lights, when we talk about in such areas, should be a daylight, which should be light and warm, and it should be bright but not so glaring that it creates a shadow. We don't want a stadium light in our house, right? So that's why we go for this daylight warm tone of lights when when we are considering this dementia situation, or even for the senior citizens who wish who stay with the family or without the family in that case. Then as I said, they have problem understanding the depth of like they don't understand 3D. They tend to see everything in 2D. So then what can be done? Even in that case, what we do is we demark everything again. In this situation, we put things on walls. So what can be added superficially when we talk about this? We tend to put up wall pictures, wall hangings, so that they can differentiate. When we put our family pictures also work well, because they have memory loss, and if they see pictures, they it clicks to them, it clicks back to them, and they tend to remember, oh, I'm staying with my family, oh, this is my son, oh, this is my daughter. So that's why this having something upon the wall also helps them try to they can recollect the memory from there, and even understand that, oh, this is the wall. That's how we can help them with the wall part to differentiate. Then we come to factors such as doors. Now the doors, we all know that they tend to forget where which room is. So when spoke about color blocking, so when a person wishes to go to the bathroom, then how do you take care of, because if we have complete white on white doors and white on white, they will never come to know which door leads to where, and they can get lost and cause any other issues. So in that case, we demark the bathroom door in certain color which is bright, so that they can directly understand. So when we since childhood we have been always have been taught that, oh, green is for grass, red is for sun, and then we go for like blue is for sky or sea. So these can be related back to where water. If we see blue for water, then water means bathroom. They can associate things in this pattern as well. When we do this color blocking plus labeling, it helps them immensely, because even if they don't remember the current situation, they'll at least, because the basic what we have been taught over the years, like sky is blue, water is blue, grass is green, so they understand how the lighting plays an important role, and how demarcation is done. So they will associate with the blue color of the sea to the bathroom as well, because water is what their brain will think of. Then we come to something as doorbells or chimes. That is basically to alert the caregiver in this situation, or the family members, that this person is using the door. So what we do is we try and hang something like a wall chime or a door chime. Chime basically makes noise, so that the caregiver is alerted by that the person has entered the bathroom, so that even if anything beyond that happens, or if any mishap happens, then at least the caregiver has already taken into consideration that someone is in the bathroom. So whether they will need further help or no, they can wait for him. And this usually basically the chimes help in alerting the caregiver, but it works for the people suffering from this as well. How? Because every time that kind of a bell, see, if I'm entering a bathroom and a certain bell rings every time I enter the bathroom, that gets registered in our long term memory. So when we talk about long term memory, we have to make them, we have to implement that in their system, like, oh, this kind of a sound is basically to enter the bathroom. This kind of a sound, we have different sounds when we come to having this chimes. or door bells or something. So in that situation, they associate the sounds with the area specific. Like bathroom sound will be different. The door is already been demarked as blue. Then there's a sound of probably waves in that. So do you understand? You start relating the basics like water, blue, then the sound of waves. That means again water. That is how we sorry, that is how we try and implement smaller factors into the design, which will help them immensely, even if they have dementia or Alzheimer's. Because as a kid, we have always learned this, so we tend to recapitulate on the entire situation where the bells remind you of something, then the door colors. Then we come to the next point where lighted and glow in the dark signs are considered. As I said, that gives them night navigation at night. Use labels and pictures to recognize what is kept in the cupboards. Everything, see, it would be easier for us as well if we have everything marked and denoted. Imagine a house where you have everything. You have like labels for even for the bath towels to hand towels to your kitchen pantry to the grocery and everything, like, which creates like a inventory. So if they want to cook or something, if the kitchen is readily demarked, ki this is the tea, this is coffee, this is sugar. So those labeling also they can read, right? So those labeling also helps them immensely in their day to day life. If they are staying alone or if there's no one around, then what do we do? If there are times when there are people not around them. They are probably alone for probably 2 hours or 3 hours, and they don't know, they have a panic attack or something. In that situation, how to use glow in the dark signs, and how to use the calling system, or even the automated system, where they, if they have a panic attack, then who will be on call. So we mark those also. Emergency services are marked in a different setup, different color. Then your caregivers are marked in a different color. So there are, and other number of things like social workers, someone to talk to, or anything, a doctor on call. So all that also in their bedroom or in their space, we try and mark it and have a readily access to it, so that we try to mitigate as much as possible if there is any mishap in in that part. So as I said above, like link rooms with color, so they understand, oh, red color is my bedroom, blue is my bathroom. That is how we implement design for this category. Then we come to now the most important factor is like sleep. Everyone requires a comfortable, safe environment to sleep in. So if you have bare minimal, like when I said earlier in my presentation, let's have a minimal approach to it. Let that house be comfortable for them on the safety measures, as well as they should feel safe in their bedroom. It shouldn't be like, oh my god, how will I sleep, what will happen. So in that situation, we have to have this thing where everything is there on call, and in that automated system, so they can rest and sleep at peace. You don't want them to get troubled by unnecessary noise as well. So their rooms have to be nicely soundproof, and have CCTV camera where anyone else can monitor them if they are not at home. All these factors are used while designing a home or a house for people with dementia and Alzheimer's. That's about what I have been coming to, and that's the end of my presentation. So, Brudula, if anyone has any question or anything, they can ask, or you can convey it to me if it's there in the chat box or anything.
Right, exactly. So, anybody who has any questions would like to ask, Neha can unmute yourself and ask.
Madam Shamla Mali here.
Hi, hello,
Yeah.
ma'am.
First of all, let me thank you very much for such a beautiful concept. And here, I don't know, in foreign countries, yes, I don't, okay, fine. I'll just put off my video. Foreign countries, too, definitely these things are there, but here the awareness is also very less. So I think you have covered so many things which we learn. And I'm 66 now, and I'm staying alone. But
Oh,
yes, huh. And in fact, my daughter is just opposite building, and other daughter is nearby. So, and anytime now, grandchildren will be coming. But
so
so I
I
have
hope
to
I have
handle.
you're satisfied by my presentation and my suggestions what I've given.
Beautiful, and most of the things I was, applying with my experience of looking after my mother and my in-laws, and I was trying and putting it in my house. But you have covered almost all the things. Just
Thank
one
you.
suggestion was, my belief is each senior citizen is full of lot of experience in his life.
True.
So maybe sometimes what happens is youngsters mainly, sorry, but respecting their experience and accordingly, like medical doctor is there, but talking in that term is also important for them. Sometimes somebody to talk about. So I don't know. Vocationally, it can be utilized their experience and whatever
Yeah,
strength they have.
true.
So I
True.
don't know for that what architecture can or like things can help. Just a suggestion. I don't know whether it is okay or
Yes,
not.
yes. In that we do talk to the client in such certain situations where the client wants something, and the client. So we do take in suggestions like what they want and how
Yeah.
they want. So that is our primary concern, what the client wants. Their needs are supposed to be taken care of in the first place.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. Thank you very very much. It was beautiful, and I really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the appreciation.
Thank you very much, Shamala ma'am. Anybody else who would like to give inputs or ask any questions, give feedback? Of course, feedbacks are welcome. Even if it is a
Yeah,
criticism, it is welcome.
yeah, so true. If I've missed out on any of the points that like Shamala ma'am said.
Right. Okay. Uh, as of now, if nobody's unmuting, let me take over, Neha. But it was really an amazing and insightful presentation. Not only, as she rightly said, probably in a foreign countries, overseas countries, people have started following these things way back. But even in India, we see people just out of interest or excitement to decorate their houses. They will put granites and marbles in bathroom without considering, or just to do the fancy house.
Exactly
But
where my point was कि we need to consider how what family requirements are, who stays in the family. So that is the only
correct,
reason why we take up a meeting first with the family to understand what family members are there and how their needs are. So that is where
right,
we have a gist of all the things, and then we work ahead on those patterns.
correct.
So I
I think
won't suggest having marble flooring for a home where only elderlies are staying.
absolutely, absolutely. Even in certain scenarios, maybe what we can, as lay people, not architectural people, but can understand before we approach you, is that the house should be made in such a way that it allows independence. There is no dependence on any single family member. It should be accessible and easy to use to everybody in the house, right? And you gave beautiful inputs with the same concept. So thank you very much.
Thank
Anybody who wants to contact Mrs. Neha can always reach out to us, and we will redirect you to her. She'll definitely be happy to advise you on your queries and give guidelines, right? I think then if nobody has any inputs, then we can call it a day.
Yeah, I would just like to say thank you, Jesa Clinic, uh, to give me this opportunity to discuss and talk about something which currently we all are dealing with. So that helps a lot. I think I have my inputs will help you guys as well.
Right, exactly. And especially in the pandemic situation where we have realized how independence is important at all ages, this is
So
where it really plays a vital role. So really thank you very much, Neha. And if
thank you so much.
nobody has questions, then happy weekend to everybody.